Welcome to the TYSK Report. I got some great articles lined up on the docket. So let's start off with some news coming from Google. Google announces Android XR operating system alongside Samsung MR headset. Google announced Android XR, a new core branch of Android designed as a spatial operating system for XR headsets and glasses. The company is pitching this as a comprehensive spatial computing platform and hopes to establish its own territory in the XR landscape against incumbents Meta and Apple. Samsung's newly announced headset, codenamed Project Muhan, will be the first MR headset to launch with the Android XR next year. Google tells us that Android apps currently on the Play Store will be available on immersive Android XR headsets by default, with developers able to opt out if they choose. That means a huge library of existing flat apps will be available on the device on day one, great for giving the headset a baseline level of productivity. That includes all of the Google's major first-party apps like Chrome, Gmail, Calendar, Drive, and more. Google TV, for instance, can be watched on a large, curved screen with info panels popping out the main window for better use of real estate. Google Photos have been redesigned with a layout that's unique to Android XR, and the app can automatically convert photos and videos to 3D with pretty impressive results. YouTube not only supports a large curved screen for viewing, but also supports the platform's existing library of 360, 180, and 3D content. Chrome supports multiple browser windows for multitasking while web browsing, which pairs nicely with Android XR's built-in support for Bluetooth mice and keyboards. Where Android XR significantly differentiates itself is through its AI integration. Gemini is built right into the Android XR, but this goes far beyond a chat agent. Gemini on Android XR is a conversational agent which allows you to have free-form voice conversations about what you see in both the real world and the virtual world. So it looks like Meta and Apple are going to have another big player entering the space, and with Samsung coming on to utilize the Android XR operating system, I think 2025 is going to be very exciting. Now, what this news is showing you and I that the way we interact with apps and content is going to change, and even though a lot of people are not using these headsets en masse, I believe some type of catalyst is going to happen within 2025 or the year after, where it's going to propel the amount of people that come into the space and utilize these headsets on a more consistent basis. So because of that news, it gives you an opportunity to dive into this technology, explore it on your own, and see what type of different things you could do within these headsets. And who knows, you could be a person that could teach others how to utilize this technology and to also be an expert in what different virtual spaces or games or productivity apps would be more beneficial for one person versus another. Let's move on to the next article. Google's Notebook LM now lets you talk to its AI podcast hosts. A few months ago, Google's Notebook LM note-taking app debuted an audio overviews feature that generates a podcast with AI virtual hosts based on the information you have shared with the app. Now, Notebook LM is rolling out the ability for users to interact with AI podcast hosts. The idea behind audio overviews and the AI hosts is to give users a new way to digest and comprehend the information in the documents they have uploaded to the app, such as course readings or legal briefs. With this new feature, you can talk to the AI host and ask them for more details or to explain a concept to you differently. Google said in a blog post that the experience is like having a personal tutor who listens to you and then responds based on knowledge from sources you have provided. Google notes that this is an experimental feature and that it only works with new audio overviews. Notebook LM also is getting a redesign that reorganizes the app's tools across 3 panels: sources, chat, and studio. Plus, Google is rolling out a premier version in the app for enterprises called Notebook LM Plus that introduces additional benefits. And also, just to give you a little bit more visual insight, let's check out this video right here.
These laws are like the rule book for how everything in the universe moves and interacts.
Okay.
Oh, hey, I think our listeners got something to say.
Can you explain the 3 laws of motion with a basketball example?
Sure, I can do that. Let's use a basketball. Imagine you're dribbling. Newton's first law. That ball keeps moving until you stop it.
Because of this new technology, we could be looking at a new podcast section in the making. I could definitely see different podcasts being hosted strictly by AI hosts, and this could become normalized within the years to come. Now, what makes this technology so interesting is that if that were to come to fruition, we could be finding ourselves interacting with those AI podcasts and hosts beyond the times that different episodes drop. So just a quick example, if an AI host puts out an episode and then a week later you go to listen to it, this this type of technology would give you the opportunity to ask it questions as if you were speaking to it or if the AI host was doing that podcast in real time. Also, I do wonder that with this type of technology, if it's going to reduce the amount of reading that takes place in the future. When it comes to kids, I'm pretty sure they would prefer to have this type of technology where the AI podcast host is able to take that book or that information that they need to read and turn it into a story that's going to be engaging and keep them wanting to listen even more. And with them listening to the book even more, if they're able to grasp onto the concepts of what they are supposed to learn, would they need to read this information? And then would this change as they grow older, and where this type of technology gets better or it changes, but reading becomes completely obsolete because they can just listen to whatever information or learning that needs to take place. So it's going to be very interesting to see what happens with this Notebook LM and how it's going to grow, how it's going to change the way that people do business, the way that people learn, the education space, and other industries that I'm probably not thinking about at this time. Let's move on to the next article. Google wants to sell those Project Astra AR glasses someday, but it won't be today. Google is slowly peeling back the curtain on its vision to one day sell you glasses with augmented reality and multimodal AI capabilities. Last week, Google said it would release those prototype glasses armed with AI and AR capabilities to a small set of selected users for real-world testing. Google also said that the Project Astra prototype glasses would run on Android XR, Google's new operating system for vision-based computing. The glasses seem cool, but it's important to remember they're essentially vaporware, and Google still has nothing concrete to share about the actual product or when it will be released. Google also shared a new demo showing how its prototype glasses can use Project Astra and AR technology to do things like translate posters in front of you, remember where you left things around the house, or let you read text without taking out your phone. So in addition to that news that was talked about a little earlier in relation to Android XR, it looks like Google is looking to enter the AR glasses arena with the likes of Meta and other companies. So as time moves on and we are entering into the new year, I do hope that at some point in 2025 that Google puts these products out on the market so that you and I can try them out. Let's move on to the next article. Suzuki Applied AV unveil autonomous logistics vehicle. Australian company Applied EV and Japanese automaker Suzuki have revealed a radical new autonomous with no cabin. The Blanc robot is essentially a tabletop chassis that can be configured for a number of different applications and is the result of a collaboration that was initially agreed in 2021 and confirmed in 2023 when the pair signed a memorandum of understanding. The pair say they envisage the Blanc robot being used for last mile deliveries or in industrial roles where the task may be considered too dull, dirty, difficult, or dangerous for a human driver. Additionally, it is claimed that the Blanc robot can operate for up to 3 times longer than a comparable human-driven vehicle, bringing significant cost savings as well as reduced carbon emissions on account of its electric powertrain. Already, 100 Blanc robots are set to be assembled, with the body structures having been shipped to Australia from Japan. So with this article, this is a reminder that more autonomous technology is being implemented every single month and possibly also every single week. So with this news, if you are in the logistics industry, this is just something to be on the lookout for. Let's move on to the next article. EVgo nabs $1.2 billion loan as Biden races to approve more EV spending. The U.S. Department of Energy announced a $1.25 billion loan to the electric vehicle charging company EVgo as the Biden administration races to finalize its spending on EVs before Donald Trump takes office. The money will fund EVgo's plans to install approximately 7,500 chargers at roughly 1,100 charging stations across the U.S. over the next 5 years, with a particular focus on fast charging 350 kilowatt stalls that can charge 2 vehicles simultaneously. The loans are also intended to be job creators, the administration says. For example, EVgo said its expansion project will support the creation of 180 external construction jobs and over 550 maintenance and support jobs. EVgo, which is based in Los Angeles, is working with General Motors on the installation of thousands of EV chargers across the country. The companies recently celebrated the activation of their 2,000 charging stall. In its release, the DOE said there are currently more than 204,000 publicly available charging ports, with nearly 38,000 new public chargers already having been added this year and nearly 1,000 new public chargers being added every week thanks to a combination of direct federal funding, federal tax incentives, state and local funding, and private investment. So with this money being loaned out to this company to build out the EV infrastructure, I do wonder if that is going to help persuade more people to become electric vehicle owners. There is right now just something about being able to take your car, go to the gas station, pump it real quick, and then head off and be on your way. With electric vehicles, the charging time is not as quick as pumping gas, and a lot of the complaints came when it comes to chargers not working or no charging stalls being around where people could charge their electric vehicle. But now that a lot of that is changing and more stalls are out there being implemented, I think what's going to be a hindrance is that charging time and also the vehicle itself. So I do wonder what's going to move people from being where they are with their current internal combustion engine vehicles and moving over to an EV. Plus, I wonder what the future is going to look like, because as more companies across the world are looking to implement more EVs, I wonder what impact that's going to have on the car industry here in the US. But since we are speaking about Biden, let's dive into some news related to the CHIPS Act. Bosch signs agreements for up to $225 million in CHIPS Act funding. Bosch is the latest recipient of the CHIPS and Science Act funding. The company signed a non-binding agreement with the U.S. Commerce Department and could receive up to $225 million in funding. The company recently accelerated its silicone development, buying TSI Semiconductors in 2023 and finalizing the deal earlier this year. But instead of focusing on cutting-edge silicone for computers, phones, and AI, Bosch specializes in chips for the auto industry. The company plans to use the funds on the Roseville, California facility it acquired in the TSI deal. The company will invest up to $1.9 billion to convert the plant into one that spits out silicon carbide semiconductors, which are used to boost the efficiency of EV driving and charging. In addition to boosting America's primacy in the chips industry, the CHIPS Act other goal is job creation. The White House says the proposed funding would create up to 1,700 jobs, including 1,000 in construction and 700 in manufacturing, engineering, and R&D. So Biden has been moving full head of steam when it comes to dishing out millions and billions of dollars in the form of loans and grants. But when it comes to loaning out and granting this money, I am skeptical of the statement about job creation. So only time will tell what's going to happen with this. And with the new administration coming in, I'm not sure if Trump is going to walk all of this back or cancel all of these deals, but we shall see as time moves along. Let's move on to the next article. Waymo's robotaxis passed the first responder test. Waymo's driverless vehicles can detect emergency vehicles, know how to respond to hand signals for traffic cops, and can be disabled manually when something goes wrong, according to an independent review of the company's first responder protocols. As such, the Alphabet company's first responder protocols passed an independent review conducted by TÜV Süd, a German tech inspection company. The firm's assessment found that Waymo's first responder program meets industry standards for responding to emergency situations, which is in line with the best practices set out in the Society of Automotive Engineers. Waymo, and indeed the entire autonomous vehicle industry, has been under intense scrutiny, especially around how its driverless cars behave around police, fire, and other emergency responders. But Waymo is staking out the position that it goes beyond what's required to prove that its vehicles are trustworthy. So in this previous video right here, I did talk about what GM did with Cruise. So because of that news with Cruise, I'm sure Waymo is looking to dot all of their I's and cross all of their T's, and they want to make sure that they are as near perfect as possible. So that was just some news related to the world of technology. I hope you enjoyed the video, and to continue to stay informed on all the other exciting news happening in the world of tech, you should like this video, subscribe, and then check out these two videos right here. And then after you watch it, comment down below in the comment section and let me know your thoughts.